Good morning, everybody. This is Kendra, and I'm coming to you live again this month for our November Embroidery Club, and I'm super excited to be sewing with you this morning. So as you're jumping on, make sure you say hello. Let me know that you're watching. Let me know where you're watching from, because as we have been doing this Embroidery Club, we have been getting friends from all over the map. So let me know where you're from if you're watching. I see a couple of people starting to jump on already, so that's great. So this month, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Since this is a recorded video, it's going to be live here on our Facebook page for right now, since we're live, but it is recorded, so that way you can come back and watch it again later, and you can watch it as many times as you want to. Just look for it right here under our Facebook page, and you will be able to find it. I see Michelle is watching from Illinois. That is awesome. Okay, so welcome everybody, and we are going to be making the bigger itty bitty booty, and this is a Smith Street Designs pattern, and this is what we're going to be sewing out this morning. So I'm super excited to sew that with you. So just a real quick recap of how our embroidery club works. If you are brand new to watching and this is your very first time watching, welcome, and we are super excited that you are here to join us for our embroidery club. So our embroidery club happens each month, and we are doing it virtually so that everybody can join us. So if you would like to sew along with us, you can call the shop, or you can go to our website, pnqs.net, and you can sign up for our embroidery club. And if you are not local, we can mail you your designs and your kit that you are going to need. Or if you are local, you can stop in at the shop, sign up at the shop, say hello to us, see what we're doing, what our new designs are that are coming up, and go ahead and sign up while you're in the shop, and we can just hand you the design and the kit and everything that you need. So it's not just for those that are local, and we are here in Minnesota where it's a little bit chilly this morning. But that's okay. If you're somewhere where it's nice and warm, you can watch right along with us. So again, we are going to be doing the Smith Street Design Bigger Itty Bitty Booty today. So if you go ahead and if you've already received your kit, you can go ahead and open that up. And in your pattern is also the fabrics to make this. So in your kit, you are going to have one 5-inch square of this burgundy fabric. And you're also going to have 2 different shades of grunge. So you have a little bit darker shade and a lighter shade. The darker shade is going to be our lining. The lighter shade is going to be for our stocking. So you can go ahead and pull those out. If you have an iron handy, you might want to turn that on and get it nice and warmed up. And again, as you're jumping on, let me know that you're here watching with me this morning. Let me know where you're watching from. Okay, and also you have a disc that is in your kit. This is where all of your designs are going to live. So we are going to go ahead and take our disc, and we're going to put it into our computer, and I'm going to show you how to move those designs from the disc onto your USB stick so that you're able to bring it over to your sewing machine. So I'm going to swing you around here to my computer. Hang tight 1 second. I'm just going to shut this light off so it minimizes the glare a little bit. And then I'm going to zoom you in so you can see my computer. Okay, I think you can kind of see there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and insert the disc into our computer. So I'm just putting that into my disk drive. Close that up. And I also have my Pine Needles USB stick. This USB stick is formatted for my sewing machine, so it's safe to use on my sewing machine. That's really important that you use a USB stick that is formatted for your sewing machine so that it gets along well with the software that is on your machine as well, because you don't want anything to happen to those computerized machines. Okay, so once we put our disc in, we get these are the files that are currently on the disc. It shows up in these little folders here. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more for you. Okay, so there are the files that are on the disc. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my USB stick and I'm going to go ahead and insert that into my computer. All right, and these are the files that are on my USB stick, but I'm going to go ahead and close this. So what I want to do is I want to take all of these files here, and you can see as I'm running my mouse along these folders, there's little boxes next to those, and there's a little box up here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and check this little box at the top, and it's going to highlight all of those and put little check marks in all of those boxes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, let me just move this over so you can see. I'm going to go over here to this side, and I'm going to go down to my USB stick, which is right here. And I'm just going to drag, let me move this over. I'm going to drag all of these files that are highlighted here, and I'm just going to drag them down to my USB stick. And you can see there's like a little shaded box with the number 6 in there. That is for all 6 of these files. I'm just going to drag them over to my USB stick and just release them in there. And now I get this little box that pops up that says it is transferring everything from the disk onto my USB stick. Again, if you have any questions while I'm going along and explaining all this, make sure to type it in the comments. If I see the question as I'm going through, I'll be sure to answer it right away. But if I miss your question, I'll go back later and reply to all the questions that are in the comments. Okay, one thing that I quick want to just point out is the files that are on this disk. We have our Cutwork files. So if you joined us a couple months ago, we did some Cutwork designs, and we are going to be doing the Cutwork designs again. I'm just going to move this so you can see. So there's Cutwork designs, there's embroidery designs. So these embroidery designs come in all these different formats. So I'm going to be sewing on my Bernina machine today. So my Bernina likes the EXP. However, the 880 that I'm sewing on does read multiple formats. But I do like the EXP, so that's the file that I'm going to be using. There's also silhouette files. There's SVG files. So if you have an electronic cutting machine, you can use those SVG files. And then there is another folder that says templates to print. So if we open that up, there is all of these PDFs in here that you can print off. So I'm going to be using my Cutwork tool, so I do not need to open these up, but I just want to open up the Birdie one to show you what it looks like. So this is the Birdie file, and you can't really see that, so let me just move my camera a little bit. So this is the Birdie file. So this is the body of the bird and the wing. So you can print this off, print this PDF off onto a fusible web with your inkjet printer, and you want to make sure that you print it at 100%, no scale. And then once you print it, you want to make sure that this line measures 4 inches. Again, since I'm using my Cutwork tool today, I am not going to print this off, but if you don't have the Cutwork tool and you want to do this step, here is the templates on how you would do that. Okay, I'm just going to close this, and then I'm just going to back it up one. And the other thing that's at the bottom is the ribbon template. So if we open this up, you'll see a picture of the booty with the ribbon. So on our, let me back this up a little bit. On our pattern that we got, and sorry, there's a little bit of a glare, you can see that there is all these different stockings. So there's 6 different stockings. So the ribbon one is this very first one. It's how to use decorative ribbon to make your stocking. So if you're wondering what all those files are on your USB stick, that is what this is. So today we are going to be making the birdie cuffed stocking. So you can choose to make them, multiple of them if you would like, and you can choose if you want to have the cuff or no cuff. So today we're going to be doing the cuff. All right, so that is where you find all of those templates. Also, now that I have all of my designs switched over to my USB stick, let me just move this back over here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to go down here to my USB stick. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm just going to go up and select eject. Now I get this little notification down in the corner that it's safe to go ahead and remove my USB stick, and it's ready to bring over to my sewing machine. Okay, so now let me turn this back on and bring you back over here to me. Okay, so now I have my USB stick. It's all ready to go into my sewing machine. And again, like I said, I'm going to be using the Cutwork tool today. So we have all of these instructions that came with our pattern. There is a couple pages that say Cutwork notes on here, and these are the instructions that you want to follow if you're using your Cutwork tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get all of my fabrics ready. So on the back of our instructions, our little pattern, we are looking at the birdie cuffed file, or the little section for birdie cuffed here. And what we want to do is we want to have 2 pieces of fabric that are 6 by 8.5 inches. So I have 2 pieces of fabric, and I have already cut mine just to save a little bit of time. For my stocking, these are the 6 by 8.5 inch pieces. And again, you're going to want to cut 2 of them. So I have 2 right there. And I'm just going to set those aside. The next, under birdie cuffed, is 2 pieces of lining fabric, also 6 by 8.5 inches. So here's my lining fabric. I have 2 of those cut 6 by 8.5 inches. I'm going to set those aside. And then 1 piece of fabric for the cuff that is 5 by 7.25 inches. And I have that piece right here, so I can set that aside. Now the next piece that you have is a 5 by 5 inch piece of this burgundy fabric. I'm going to go ahead and leave my piece 5 by 5 inches, even though it's telling me that I'm going to want to cut it down, but I'm going to just save myself a step. So what I am doing is I'm going to take a piece of Steam-A-Seam 2, which we sell this at the shop. It's in a box, and it comes on the roll, and you just purchase it by the yard. So this is Steam-A-Seam 2. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to fuse a piece of this. I already have it cut to the 5 inches, and I'm going to fuse it to the wrong side of my fabric. So I'm just going to peel this off, and when you peel the paper off, you'll notice that it's tacky on one side. So I'm just going to tack that to the wrong side of my fabric. And I'm going to bring it over here to my iron so you can see what I'm doing. So here's my piece of fabric, and I have it laying right side down, and I'm going to put that tacky side on the wrong side of my fabric. I have my iron right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and fuse this on here. So I'm just fusing the Steam-A-Seam to the wrong side of my fabric. Okay, now I have it fused on there, and we're all good to go. So I'm just going to let this sit right here for a second until I'm ready for it. I'm going to move you back over here to my sewing machine so you can see what I'm going to do with this. It's a little crooked. Let me straighten it out here. Okay. So here's my USB stick with all the files loaded on it. I'm going to go ahead and insert my USB stick into my machine. And all the files are going to come up. And I'm going to choose the Cutwork folder. And now I'm going to choose the EXP. And what I want is the bird body. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the bird body. And it's telling me over here that I need the, let me just zoom this in so you can see a little bit clearer. Okay. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I shut that light off if it's better. Okay. So I have the bird body chosen here on my machine. Now what I want to do is on my Bernina, I can go ahead and choose this little clear film with the plus sign on it. And now I'm going to choose the bird wing. So the bird body and the bird wing are two separate files, but I'm going to cut them out just in one hooping. So now they're laid on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is I have just the wing selected. I'm going to go into the little eye icon. And the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to move this over. I'm going to move it over and I'm going to move it up. And now I'm going to go back and I want to choose the bird body and I'm going to move that over the other way. Okay, so now you can kind of, if you can see, I have the bird body here and I have the wing over here. And it's all going to fit in my medium hoop. So what I also want to do is just choose my medium hoop. Make sure that it's all good in there. Okay, now I'm just going to tell my machine that I'm ready to begin. But before I begin, I want to pull out my Cutwork tool. So I'm going to pull that out and get my machine all set up with the Cutwork tool. So when I open it up, there is this little piece that is for the needle that looks like this. And it's already on the number 1. You can see that in that little box there. So this goes in where your needle is going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And it's flat on the back. So you know that you have it in right, just like your needles, how they're flat on the back. And you want to be sure that you push that all the way up. Use my little screwdriver and I'm just going to tighten that in. And I also have my straight stitch or my Cutwork stitch plate in. Now I'm going to use my number 44 C-foot and I'm going to go ahead and put that on my machine. Okay, so the machine is all ready to go with the Cutworks. So the next thing that I have to get ready is my hoop. So again, we know that our machine, we need to use our medium-sized hoop, and we already got our fabric ready. So I have my hoop over here. And I see Celia mentioned, what if she doesn't have the Cutworks tool? If you don't have the Cutworks tool, don't worry about it. You can still do this project and I'll explain it as we go once we start getting into all of the embroidery part of it. So I'll explain how to do this without the Cutworks tool. Okay, so I have my medium hoop here and I have a piece of stabilizer cut. And this is just a lightweight tearaway stabilizer from OESD. So it's an OESD lightweight tearaway stabilizer. And I'm going to go ahead and hoop just my stabilizer. So again, when I'm hooping my fabrics or my stabilizer or when I'm hooping anything, let's see if I can get it in there. There we go. I like to use my master hooper and it just helps to stabilize my hoop while I am hooping anything so it doesn't, so I can just get it all stabilized correctly. I'm just going to place the bottom hoop. It's going to hook right onto my master hooper. I'm going to take my lightweight tearaway stabilizer, lay it in the hoop, and then just press my inner hoop in there. And once I get it so it's nice and secure, I can tighten it up a little bit. And I can go ahead and take my hoop off of the master hooper. I'm just going to finish tightening my screw over here. And then I'm just going to use my thumbs and I'm going to press this inner hoop to the back side just so I have a little tiny ridge there, and that's just protecting the sewing machine from any vibrations from sometimes it can scratch that arm on your sewing machine, so I'm just protecting that to avoid any little scratches or anything on there. And you can see and you can feel just that little tiny lip right all the way around the back. Okay, I'm going to grab my fabric because I'm going to need that here in just a second. Now I'm going to move you back over here to the machine. I'm going to go ahead and put my hoop on the machine and let it do its little thing. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and lay my fabric in the hoop. Make sure that it is in there all the way, and you can tape it down or you can just lightly hold it. But if you go to the edit button and you go back into the little eye, you can do the check and make sure that you're completely covered. So I'm good in this corner. I can go over here to this corner, make sure I'm good there, come down to the bottom, and I'm good there too, and come over here. So I'm just checking all four corners to make sure that I'm completely, my design is completely in on the fabric. All right, so now you can use some tape, and I have just some Kimber paper tape here. And I'm just gonna take a couple little pieces of the paper tape and I'm gonna tape my fabric in place. Just to keep it from shifting when it's embroidering or doing the cut works. So I'm going to put just a little piece of tape on the bottom and on the top. All right, now I'm ready to begin. I have number 1 shown in the little box on my foot. So I'm going to go ahead and start my machine. And I'm just going to tell it I have the 44C foot on, and that is all good. And I always slow my machine all the way down until I start, and then I speed it up. So this is how you use the Cutworks tool. And again, if you don't have the Cutworks tool, it's okay, you can still do this project. But if you would like to add the Cutworks tool, make sure that you watch for any specials that Bernina may have. Normally around Christmas time, they do a special on Bernina accessories. So make sure you watch for that. And we do carry these at the shop. But I just want to show you how this works and how it helps you with your embroidery. But again, you can do this project even if you don't have this Cutworks tool. Now we're on to number 2, so I'm just going to rotate this little knife down here so that the number 2 is in the little box. And I'm going to go ahead and start again. Now it stopped. We're ready for number 3. I'm just going to turn it, the dial, so number 3 is showing in the little box, and do number 3. So every time I turn that dial, I'm just adjusting the angle of the little blade, and that's what's cutting the fabric. All right, we got the bird all finished. Now we're going to go over and work on the teardrops. So I'm going to turn it back to number 1. And the teardrop is the wing. So we're just going to start with number 1 on the wing. Now I'm going to change it to number 2 and go ahead and start again. Now we're ready for number 3. I'm just going to start my machine. And number 4. This is our final one. All right, now we have the checkered flag, so that means we are all done. So I can go ahead and take my hoop off of the machine. So here is our bird body and our wing. So if I gently push on these, it is gonna pop right out. So there is the bird body, and here's the wing. So if you're gonna do multiple of these, you can stack up to 6 layers of this burgundy fabric to do 6 of them at a time, and it would cut all 6 out at once. So that is a great time savings. And again, if you don't have this, I'm going to show you how to do it on the other one, or how to do the other technique if you don't have the Cutworks tool. Okay. So now we have our bird body and our wing. That is all ready to go. So I can just set that aside with my other fabrics. Keep those handy so that I don't lose those. And if I look at our instructions, what we want to do is we are going to turn to page number 5, and it tells us number 5 up here in the corner. And here is our birdie cuffed. So this tells us the thread colors that we can use, or you can make it your own project and use your own thread colors if you would like. And it tells you which stitch and what it's exactly doing. So what I want to do is I am going to go ahead and hoop my stabilizer. So for this, I am using my large oval hoop. And I am going to be using a heavyweight tearaway stabilizer. So I just have the Kimber heavyweight tearaway stabilizer. There's also an OESD brand of heavyweight tearaway stabilizer. And I'm going to go ahead and just hoop my stabilizer. So put you back over here again. I'm just going to make sure that my hoop is loosened up. I'm going to hook the bottom part of my hoop onto the master hooper. I'm going to go ahead and put my stabilizer over that bottom hoop and then just press that inner hoop in. And maybe I didn't have it loosened up enough. And again, I'm just going to press that inner hoop to the back side just a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. One other thing that I want to mention is if you are in need of any OESD supplies or stabilizers or anything like that, now is a great time to stock up on them, because once you spend $79 on any OESD products, you will also get a free CD from OESD. So you can ask the ladies at the shop about that, or send us an email and ask us for more details. But they are some really cute designs on the OESD, and I know Julia at the shop has been working on some of those free designs on right next to the front counter on the little baby lock machine. So those are super cute. You want to stop in and check those out. Joni is asking what was the size of the fabric we need to cut in millimeters. No, I am looking at the size of the fabrics that you need to cut, Joni, are listed right on the back of your instructions. And those are not in millimeters. It's 2 pieces of fabric, 6 by 8.5 inches for your outer stocking, 2 pieces of lining fabric that are also 6 by 8.5 inches. And the stabilizer that I'm using right now is a heavyweight tearaway stabilizer. Okay, so now I have my stabilizer all hooped up, and I'm going to bring it over here to my machine. I'm just going to move right down here because I have this one set up for stitching. So I'm going to go ahead, and the thread that I'm going to thread through the needle is Isacord, and it's color 4752. It's just kind of this dusty blue color that matches that outer fabric. I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And I am just using the Schmetz Gold 7511 embroidery needles. And in my bobbin, I just have the OESD bobbin thread. So I'm going to go ahead and hoop my hoop on here. Before I do that, I just want to quickly tell you, and I'm going to back up one step. So once you put your USB stick in your machine, you're going to see all of these little stockings that are going to show up, and they're all numbered. So the very first one is a birdie one, and number 7 is also a birdie one. So the difference between the two is one is a cuffed one and one is not. So we want to choose number 7. We want to make sure that we are choosing the cuffed file. So number 7 is the one that you want to choose. And here's our design with our bird and everything in there. So we go ahead and touch the needle because we're ready to start. And the first thing that it's going to do, it's going to stitch out a placement line. And again, before I start stitching, I always slide my speed dial all the way down because I'm just stitching on the stabilizer. So I don't want any surprises when I start. And then I can slowly start speeding it back up once I know that everything is good. And I just do that just as a little safety thing for myself. So now that we have our placement line all stitched out, you're going to see the outline of the stocking right on our stabilizer. And now what we want to do is we want to take one of our fabric pieces. So I'm going to use the lighter piece of the fabric, and I'm going to lay that so it's completely covering that placement stitch that is stitched out. And again, if you want to use some tape to go ahead and hold that in place, you can, or you can just lightly hold it with your fingers. And we are just going to tack this fabric in place. And I'm just making sure that everything just is nice and smoothed out and I don't have any bubbles or anything. So you can follow along with the instructions. And this is on page 1 that we're doing here. Our thread chart that we're following along is the one that is on page 7 for the birdie cuffed file. So if you follow along on page 1 and page 5, that's where I'm at. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is stitch out our branches. And for our branches, I am using color 1355, just a nice brown color. Again, on the instructions, it says you can use color 0933. And we're just going to go ahead and stitch out those branches. Okay, and while those are stitching out, it's going to take just a few minutes for those to stitch out. I'm going to bring you back over here. One of the fun things about our embroidery club is we give away lots of door prizes. So how do you get registered for the door prizes? So to get registered for the door prizes, you sign up for the embroidery club, which is $29.99, and that gets you the design and the kit, and it gets you in for the door prizes. And if you've joined us for our clubs before, you know that Marcia is super generous and she gives us some awesome door prize gifts. So I have a whole table full of door prizes that I'd like to give away. So we'll start with those. So all of your names are in this little bag for those that have registered. And the first thing that I am going to give away is this Ruby Star Society Phoenix. Lenny is watching from California this morning. Good morning. And I'm going to back this up. And then I can go ahead while that's stitching out, and I'm going to go ahead and take this off of my hoop, because this is, I no longer need, so that is trash, and I can put my hoop away. We have a few minutes left to go on our project. Sherry is saying that she missed it. Is it possible to watch it again? Yes, Sherry, this video is being recorded. You can watch it again. And Ginger's asking if I have shape flex or anything behind the stocking besides the heavyweight stabilizer. I do not have shape flex or anything behind my stocking. You could put it behind there if you want to. I did not put it behind there. Okay, so now we have all of our branches stitched out, and you can see the tail of the bird is also starting to form here. So now the next thing that we want to do is stitch out our berries. So I'm going to change my top thread color, and I am going to use my favorite color, red, and that is 1911. Well, actually I have two, 1902 and 1911. I love them both. They're my favorite. So this is 1911 from Isacord, and we are going to stitch out those red berries. And those are going to take a few minutes to stitch out as well. So let's do another door prize. And the next thing that I am going to give away is this cute little roll of little 10-inch squares. So there's some cute little kitty cats on there, some little hearts, super cute fabric. And the winner of this one is Kathy Wangan. So congratulations, Kathy, you get this super cute little pack of 10-inch squares. And just get your name stuck in here so we know that this one is yours. Also, while this is stitching out, we have the piece for our cuff right here, and this one is, let me just look at what the dimensions of this are. It is our piece for our fabric cuff, so it is 5 by 7 1/4 inches. So we can go ahead and get this ready. Connie is saying, who was the last winner? The last winner was Kathy Wangan. Okay, so to get this cuff piece ready, I just need to show you which page of the instructions we're looking at. So on page number 4, down here at the bottom, it says adding the cuff. So this is where we want to follow along. So with right sides together, we're going to sew a seam along the 5-inch side of the cuff fabric to create a tube. And we are going to lock the seam at both ends. So what we want to do is take our fabric and right sides together. So we're going to fold it in half, right sides together. We're going to just use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and we're going to stitch right along this 5-inch edge, and we're going to back stitch at the front and the back. So I'm going to move over here to my other machine. And I'm just going to switch this back over to sewing. So I'm going to remove my foot, use my screwdriver, and I am going to take this little Cutwork tool off. I'm going to put the needle back in my machine. That's not the needle I wanted. I'm just going to use some white Aurifil thread. If I touch the home button, I am just going to go to the sewing side now. just going to thread my machine. I have my number 97 D foot that I'm going to put on, and this is my 1/4 inch foot. And just tell my machine that I'm switching the foot. Here is my piece of fabric, and again just a 1/4 inch seam that I'm going to stitch, and I'm going to back stitch at the beginning and at the end. Oh yes, and I need to switch my bobbin. I'm going to quickly do that. And I drop it on the floor. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this out. All right, so now I have my cuff just stitched along this 5-inch edge, and I've made a little tube. So now let me bring you back over here so you can see what is happening with the berries, and they're still stitching out. We just have a few minutes left. So now what you want to do is you're going to take your fold of your fabric and you're going to fold it open. So you're just folding it in half, and you want to make sure that that inside seam is all facing the same direction. And you're just folding it in half, and you're lining up those raw edges on the bottom. So now I have my little tube. Here's the seam. Right sides are together on the outside, and my raw edges are down here on the bottom. Okay, so you didn't hear who won the very first prize. The very first prize was this bandana, and the winner of that was Marie Hull. So Marie Hull won the first prize. And my thread kind of shredded here a little bit. Hang on one second. Going to pull some of that through and get rid of that icky spot. I'm just going to back it up a few stitches and start again. All right, this is just finishing up. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my thread. And I'm changing my thread to the Isacord Burgundy color 2123. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to stitch out the placement line for our bird. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch out that placement line right onto the stocking. Okay, here is the placement line for the bird. It matches the bird body that we cut out with our Cutworks tool. So what we're going to do is we are going to take the shape of the bird body, and remember we put that seam on the back, so we have this paper on the back. So we want to go ahead and peel that paper off, and it is going to reveal that sticky seam that is on there. So we can stick this. It's kind of sticky, it's a little tacky. So we can take this shape and we can stick it right on the shape that we have here. And it is fusible, so once you get it in place, you can take it over to your iron and you can just touch your iron on there and it's going to help hold that in place. So let me just back this up so I can get over to my iron quickly. And again, I'm just laying this in place. I know you can't see me, so let me move you over here. So here is my project. And here's my iron, and I'm just going to touch this with the iron just to hold it in place. And you can also use the OESD press cloth to put that over to protect your embroidery stitches. But I have it pressed in place. And now I told you that I was going to show you how to do this if you did not have the Cutworks tool. So let me show you how that would work. Okay, so if you don't have the Cutworks tool, after it stitches out the placement stitch on your fabric, so don't pay attention to this piece of burgundy fabric here, but you would have the same stitch that's in the same shape. You're just going to use your piece of your fabric, and you're just going to take part of it and you're going to lay this on here. And if you want to go ahead and cut your fabric down to the size that you need, your burgundy fabric, for the body, it's a 2.5 by 5 inch piece, and then a 2 by 3.5 inch piece for the wing. So if we cut this down, so I have a 2.5 inch strip, just to keep it so it's all clear, I'm just going to cut this. So I took my burgundy fabric and I just cut it in half, so I have two 2.5 inch pieces. And I'm going to take that 2.5 inch piece and I'm going to lay it so it completely covers that placement stitch for the bird body. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my hoop back on the machine, and it's going to tack this fabric in place. Once it tacks that fabric in place, you're going to take your hoop off, and then you're going to cut the excess fabric all the way around the outside. That's how you get the shape of your bird body. So I'm going to go ahead and just stitch this down, and it's going to help tack everything in place. And I went ahead and removed my 2.5 inch piece since I already have a burgundy piece in there. But if you don't have the Cutworks tool to have this piece, you're gonna leave this in there for it to stitch this tack down line. That's gonna give you your outline that you have to cut around. So then you would go ahead, take your scissors and trim so that you're left with this piece right here in the hoop. So that's how you do that without the Cutworks tool. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put my hoop back on the machine, and I'm gonna stitch the decorative outline that is gonna go around the body of the bird. All right, while that's stitching out, we have a couple more door prizes to give away. So I have a roll of charm squares, and this looks like patriotic fabric, some red, white, and blues, and this is really pretty. I love these little fabrics. And the winner of this is Teresa Lang. So congratulations, Teresa. We'll get this to you. Okay. So now we stitched the decorative outline around the bird. Now we're going to go ahead and stitch out the placement line for the wing. So again, if you use the Cutworks tool, we already have our wing. We can go ahead and take that and place it in the hoop. If not, you're just going to use your burgundy piece of fabric. You're going to lay that down so it covers up that wing spot. So let me show you. Here's the wing. Take your piece of fabric, you're going to lay it down. It's going to do the tack down stitch, and then you're going to trim around the outside before it goes back and does your decorative stitches, which covers up the raw edge. I use the Cutworks tool, so I already have my little wing that is the same size as our little placement stitch. So I'm just gonna lay it right on there. I can take it to my iron, place my iron on it so it just fuses it in place. It's all fused in place, so now I can take it to my machine and do the tack down line. And now we're going to follow that up with the decorative outline. I think that these little stockings would be super cute to use as a place setting for your silverware on your Christmas dinner table. Or you can use them to decorate your tree. If you give gift cards, you can put little gift cards in there. Be super cute. Lots of different ideas. If you have some other ideas on how to use these stockings, go ahead and put them in the comments and let us know what your ideas are for them. You might inspire somebody else. While that is stitching out, let's give away another door prize. I have a roll of the Kimber pink, the French pink leather. So you can use this for applique. And the winner of this is Elaine Smith. So congratulations, Elaine. We'll get you this roll of Kimber leather. And speaking of Kimber, let me just quickly show you. We have down at the shop the Candy Cane Lane bench pillow kits. So this is the fabric kit. It comes in this cute little box. There's also the CD with the pattern and the embellishment kit. So all of this is available down at the shop. And from now until Saturday at midnight, you can receive 25% off of all in-stock Kimber products that we have at the shop. So if you're shopping online, just go to pnqs.net, go to the shop tab. In the search bar, you can just put Kimber and it will list everything in there. So you can get 25% off of all in-stock Kimber from now until midnight Saturday night. And the code that you need is Kimber Club 25. So it's in all caps, Kimber Club 25 to receive your 25% off of anything Kimber in the shop from now until Saturday at midnight. And I just came unthreaded, so let me quickly thread this back and put this over here so you can see what I'm doing. Lift my presser foot. Back that up a few stitches and start again. All right, so there is our stocking so far. You can see the outline of the bird and the wing. That's all been stitched, and I have just a little thread tail right here that I just want to snip off. And the next thing we can do is go ahead and change our thread to black, and it's going to do the beak and the eye of our bird. So I'm going to go ahead and change my thread to black. And we're going to go ahead and stitch that out. While that is stitching, we're going to do another door prize winner. And I see that Celia is asking if you could use a good quality felt for the pieces. Absolutely you could. If you look really close to the fabrics that are on the cover here, you can see that they even used cork for this stocking. Some of them look like, this one looks like they used felt. It looks like they used craft tex for this one, ribbon. The other thing that you can do is you could line your stocking if you were just going to make this quilted one with a fusible batting and use that as well. So there's lots of different ideas. Okay, I was going to do a door prize real quick. And the next one is this cute little Moda notepad. And the winner of this is Lois Phi. So Lois will get you your little notepad. All right. So now we're back and it looks like there is another outline stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my thread from the black, and I am going to put in this dusty blue color. And again, this is color 4752. So there is on page 4 the general instructions for the cuffed design, and that's what we're doing. So we've done the decorative part of the design, and we've done pretty much everything. So we want to go ahead and take the back fabric and we're going to place it right side down on top of our design and lay the 2 pieces of lining fabric right sides together over that. So we're going to take, this is our back fabric, we're going to lay it right side down, completely covering our stocking. And then we have our 2 pieces of our lining fabric. And we're going to take these and we're going to put these 2 pieces right sides together. So I'm putting them right sides together. And we are going to place that over the top of our design as well. So again, you can use tape to hold this in place. So we have, again, just to go over, I have my fabric and this is the front side of the hoop. I took my other piece of my outside fabric and placed that right sides together with the stocking. And then I have my lining fabrics placed right side together over the top of that. So it's our fabric piece that we did all of our embroidery on, our back piece, and our 2 lining pieces. So they're all stacked together. And now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to tack this down. All right, now we got the checkered flag on our design. So here it is all tacked down and you can see it goes all the way around, but it doesn't go across the top. So now what we can do is go ahead and take our project out of the hoop. And now what we're gonna do is we are gonna use a scissors and a rotary cutter. And what we wanna do is we wanna trim 1/8 of an inch from the seam. So I am just going to come over here to my cutting table, and I have my little ruler, and I'm just going to place that across the top, and I'm going to be careful not to trim those stitches at all, but I just want to trim a nice even edge all the way across the top. And then I'm going to grab my scissors. Let me just run over here and grab a scissors quick. Okay, so here's my scissors, and now I'm just going to trim 1/8 of an inch all the way around the stocking. And just eyeballing it. It doesn't have to be absolutely exact. You just want to make sure that you're getting close enough, but not too close that you're going to trim any of those stitches that hold everything together. Okay, and again, this is a tearaway stabilizer, so you can tear the excess away from the outside if you would like. And I'm just gonna leave mine in there for now. So now what you're gonna do is you are going to just reach into your stocking and you are gonna flip it right side out. So I'm just flipping it through. And just reach in there with your fingers and help pull it all the way through. And if you need to use a stiletto, or I use the little mirror for my machine, or your purple thing, or whatever you have, a chopstick, a crochet hook, whatever, and help just push it all through. And then you're just going to kind of roll it between your fingers to get that seam to pop out along the toe. You just kind of roll it between your fingers. That will help get everything to pop out. And then you can use your purple thing or your stiletto, whatever you have, to help, you know, push that seam out along the heel. And there's everything on the outside, so you can see our stocking really starting to take shape. And again, just roll between your fingers to get that seam to pop out. And then you can take it to your iron and give it a little press if you would like. But what we have to do now is we have to add the cuff. So to add the cuff, what we're going to do is we are going to take our stocking, so here's the lining on the inside, and we're going to fold that down like we're turning the stocking inside out almost again. So we're just pulling that lining so we can get it on the outside. And before I do that, before you pull it all the way to the outside, just take note of which side is the toe side and which side is the heel side, because we have our little tube that we prepared earlier. So this is my heel side over here. This is my heel side and this is my toe side. And I'm just gonna take my tube. So here's my raw edge up here. My seam is over on this side, and I want the seam to be on the heel side. So I'm just gonna place that tube over the stocking. and you're going to pull it down so that your raw edges line up. So the raw edge of the tube and the raw edge of the top of the stocking. And you're going to line this seam up with the seam of the stocking. And once you get those seams to line up and nest together, you can just take a pin. Let me grab my pin cushion. You're going to take a pin and you're just going to stick it in the top to hold those seam lines together. And then you can go to the other side. And again, you want to make sure that that toe of that stocking is pushed down because you don't want to catch that when you're stitching it all together. And we're going to put another pin over here on this side. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take this over to our sewing machine and we are just going to stitch 1/4 inch around that top side. Okay, so this is kind of tricky because it is a tight little loop here to get that underneath the foot of our machine, but it can be done. You're just going to kind of push everything to the outside, and I like to start right at that seam on the back side. So I'm just going to push it and hold it down out of the way, make sure my raw edges are lined up and I'm right at my 1/4 inch seam. I'm going to lower my presser foot. And I'm going to stitch right up to my pin, remove my pin, get this one out of the way. I'm going to hold that second pin in there until I get over to it and then I'll take it out. But I'm just making sure my raw edges are lined up. And you're just going to kind of like keep rolling that stocking so you can stitch right along that 1/4 inch seam. And you're just doing just a few stitches at a time. And as you're just keeping everything lined up. And then as it comes out the back, you can roll it over so that you have more room in the front. I'm right up to that pin. I'm going to take that pin out. And you just keep rolling it along. And we're almost back to where we started. Okay, so now we've stitched all the way around the top. And this is what it looks like. That's the inside. So now what we can do is go ahead and just pull that toe and that heel right back out of our stocking. So now when I pull it out, it looks like this. Now I'm just going to take this cuff and I'm going to fold it back down so that we have a nice smooth finished edge along the top. And you can just manipulate that fabric so you get your fold and your creases just how you like them. And You don't want to be all the way down because then you're going to cover up your top part of your berries, but you can determine how deep you want that fold to come down. The other thing is if you wanted to add a little piece of ribbon to hang, you can attach that ribbon to the heel before you sew it all the way around, just so that it's on the inside. All right, so the foot that I was using while I was going around was just my 97D foot. So this is my little stocking. A couple other fun things that you could do is when you are doing your tube, if you wanted to personalize those, you could just do a little bit of embroidery on here if you wanted to before you stitch your tube all together. So I would recommend just making the first one without it, so that way you know where the placement of your embroidery needs to be. Just take note of it, and then you would have the same size of fabric and you could go in and kind of eyeball up exactly where you would need that embroidery to be to personalize that if you wanted to do that. But these are the cute, fun little Christmas stockings, are the bigger itty bitty booty, as they call it, that we chose for our November Embroidery Club project. So I hope you guys had fun watching today and had fun stitching along with me as we made this cute little booty. I have a couple more door prizes to give away, and also I want to tell you about what's coming up next month. So let's start with another door prize. I have another charm pack. It's called Bloom On by Maywood, and the winner of that is Jeannie Shannick. So congratulations, Jeannie, this is you. Sherry is asking, is Kimber 25 the discount code? It is Kimber Club 25. So make sure you put club in there. Kimber Club 25. And I have a Ruby Star Society Daisy toweling to give away. And I have a couple more Kimberbell items to give away too, so make sure you guys hang with me. Linda Anderson. So Linda Anderson, you are the winner of the Daisy toweling, so we will get this to you. I have a package of Kimberbell buttons to give away. These are super cute. I love these little buttons. And the winner of the buttons is Lisa Paul. So congratulations, Lisa. We will get this to you. And I also have a Kimberbell Lacy zipper. These are super cute Lacy zippers. And the winner of this Lacy zipper is Connie Nelson. So congratulations, Connie. We will get you this Lacy zipper. And the Kimberbell little scissors and tape measure. I love this. It's super cute. Is Ginger Jordan. So congratulations, Ginger. We will get this to you. I love seeing all of these names month after month. You guys are so fun to sew along with. And the last door prize that I have to give away, and this is a fun one. If you remember when we did the Kimberbell Love Notes, this is the clues for the Love Notes mystery quilt. So you will be able to make one of those as well. And the winner of this one is Julie Simmons. So congratulations, Julie. We will get this to you. Okay, I need to show you guys what is coming up next month. So I know that a couple of you have commented that you're already signed up for next month and you've already gotten your kit, but I'm super excited about this one. It's going to be a super fun and easy one. We are going to be making these super cute leather embroidery, or leather luggage tags. We're going to embroider on them. We're going to put a monogram on there. So this is a swirly monogram. That's a K on there for Kendra. It's super cute. I love it. So this is what we are doing next month. So who would have thought that you can embroider on leather with your sewing machine? So it's going to be super fun, and I can't wait for you guys to join me. So make sure you go to the website and sign up for the December Embroidery Club, or give the shop a call and sign up. It was super fun sewing with you guys today, and if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments. Even though the video is over, we still look back at the comments and are able to answer your questions. So again, make sure you take advantage of the 25% off of all Kimberbell that is in stock with the Kimber Club. 25 is the discount code to get your 25% off from now until midnight. And if you are just watching us for the very first time, and maybe you've never embroidered before, but you are wanting to jump in to try, the December project is going to be super fun and easy, and I'd love for you to join us. If you don't yet have an embroidery machine, stop by the shop, talk to one of us. We'd love to find the perfect embroidery machine for you. So super fun, and I can't wait to see you guys all again in December. Keep stitching.